Hello, everybody. I'm Whoopi Goldberg, and this is BTS saying, welcome to the Graham Norton.
Good evening. You're all so welcome to the show. I tell you, we got a packed show tonight. I'm going to be talking to more people than a marriage guidance counsellor at Strictly Come Dancing. But, that's a lot of people. Hey, shall we just begin by saying big congratulations to Princess Eugenie and her new husband, Jack, who got married this afternoon. Woo! Royal wedding fever! Wedding on a Friday. Woo! Wonder how she got the time off from work. The party afterwards, it was just like any other wedding do. You know, drunken uncles dancing in the car park. Yeah, there you go. Now, I have to say, it was a very lavish ceremony and a nice change to tradition. Instead of the father of the bride footing the bill, they went with taxpayers. You're welcome. Actually, at the ceremony, somebody did suggest that Prince Andrew should pay for everything. But footage of the week. Footage of the week, ladies and gentlemen, has to be President Trump climbing the steps of Air Force One. Did you see this? There he goes, up there. And if you look, yes, it's toilet paper stuck to his shoe. Hilarious. Mind you, it's hardly news. You know, a piece of toilet paper stuck to a huge arsehole. Let's get some guests on! Later, we've got a real television exclusive. The first ever UK performance by the global phenomenon that is Korean boy band BTS. Shut up! But first... That's only the first one. But first, he shot to fame as Paul Spector in the fall and reached global stardom in the blockbusting 50 Shades films. Now he brings us the quirky drama like Dinner with Hervé. It's always a pleasure to welcome Jamie Dornan! Woo! Screams. The screams for you too. She's the homegrown star who earned an Oscar nomination for her chilling performance in Gone Girl. Now she's playing war reporter Marie Colvin in A Private War. It's a warm welcome back to Rosamund Pike! Oh, wow! Yeah! Amazing! Hello, come in, sit down. This Grammy and Emmy-winning actor and jazz musician is back on the road to celebrate New Orleans' 300th anniversary. It's Harry Connick Jr. Woo! The screaming reward. Here you go. And this lady is a true Hollywood legend. 3 Emmys, a Grammy, an Oscar, and a Tony. She's back in Britain with her one-woman show. Welcome to the one and only Whoopi Goldberg! There you go. Have a seat, do. Oh. So very welcome to all of you. What a lovely couch. But you join us on this special night. There's a frisson in the air because BTS in the building. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Harry, do you know who BTS are?
I have no idea.
Jamie, BTS?
Yeah, I know who they are.
Do you really?
I didn't say I was a fan. I just know who they are.
Well, they'll turn. Don't let them turn. Rosamund?
I do now.
Okay, yeah. But you spent time in Korea, didn't you?
Yes, in fact, I'm actually an honorary citizen of the Kingdom of Busan. In fact,
wow.
I had the pleasure of doing a press tour with Tom Cruise, and we went to Busan, and we were both made honorary citizens, and we got this beautiful Korean gong, which I transported back to England. And then I was delighted to find that there's a restaurant in my area called Busan. So I went to the restaurant with the gong and presented well, in the hope of a free meal. I mean, it never goes away. And And they just looked very perplexed.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, yes.
But now, Whoopi, is it your granddaughter's a big fan?
I have granddaughters and great-granddaughter.
Crazy, crazy.
Yeah, so everybody loves it.
And we were talking backstage, they sing the songs, they know them in Korean.
Well, I mean, to me, that's the amazing thing, is there's this, you know, about to be 5-year-old who's bopping in Korean. You know, I have no idea what she's saying. She'd be cussing me out. I would not know. You know, but the idea that all of these kids, and older people too, but all these kids are sort of going, we don't care about your boundaries, we don't care what you think, we're grooving here. And I kind of got to applaud that. I kind of like that.
Yeah. And talking of screaming fans, so because the last time we saw you, Jamie, was the end of the Christian Grey thing. Has that kind of crazy fandom gone away now? Have they forgotten?
Hope so. I don't know. I've kind of forgotten about it. I think that's the best way to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know.
But you still get people asking for inappropriate things.
Mad people everywhere. Yeah.
Where were you playing? Were you playing golf? It was in this country or in Ireland?
No, I was up in Scotland a couple of years ago, and someone asked me to sign her breasts. Breasts, both of them, yeah, both. I think she was after a Jamie on one and a Dornan on the other, I think.
That's tough when you have a junior at the end of your name. You don't meet many of those.
Where did that go? He's faced a junior? But how are you going to junior? You now, obviously fans like taking selfies and things. Now, you don't take selfies, you take a different thing. Is this your thing, or do other people do this?
Well, I thought it was cool to take a selfie with a celebrity in the background, but if you make it too obvious, then the celebrity will know. So what I do is I get the celebrity like I'm taking a selfie of myself, but I'll put the celebrity in the background, but get half of my face in the frame, and I call it a stalkie. And the more famous the celebrity, the more points you get.
You've posted some. Is that J-Lo?
Now that's like seeing a unicorn, because J-Lo is taking a selfie, and I am taking a stalkie of her taking a selfie, that is called stalknique. That's very hard to do.
We've got another one. Is that Tony Bennett?
That's Tony Bennett, yeah. That was close quarters, so he was only about 10 feet behind me. That's very, very difficult to do.
You're like David Attenborough. Now this on the set of Will and Grace.
That's unbelievable. Graham, that's unbelievable what I'm doing right there. You may not understand it, but when you go back and watch this again and again, my segment, you'll see that that is the cast of Will and Grace taking a selfie, and I got all of them in my stalkie. That's impossible to do.
Why notice this, though? You're not in it. They're taking a selfie, but they know you're in the studio, and they want, is he in it? No.
What I left out was that they did not invite me to be in their selfie, so I chose the next one.
Well, listen, do you want to try and take a stalkie now?
With everyone, this would be one of the great moments of my life.
Oh, you take...
Can you just do what you do, and I have to set it up.
Okay, you set it up, and then what we'll do is we're having the best time without Harry here. We are having a blast.
Blast.
Okay. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. So we're going...
Stop.
Best show ever.
Good, it's good. It's so good.
We're good.
Look at that. See that? Can we zoom in on that?
Yeah, we can. Oh, that is good.
That's great, yeah.
Oh! You're in it.
That's good. I'm really good at it, so if you get home and you try it and you realize that yours aren't as exciting as mine, you'll get there.
Now, Whoopi Goldberg, welcome back to Britain.
Thank you.
You are back with your very successful one-woman show, Whoopi Goldberg Live.
Oh, look at that.
I know. So you're doing, tomorrow night, you are at Leeds First Direct Arena, and then on Sunday, the Eventum Apollo here in London.
Yes.
So is the show just kind of what's on your mind, or...
Well, Yes. It's that and sex.
Oh, right.
And the lack of it. And how you can't look at it. Like, I cannot look.
It's the best I can do.
And I appreciate you. But you know, you get to be a certain age and you just can't look. You know, I used to ogle dudes. I'd be like, hey. But now I look and I think, ooh, too young, and I just feel bad. I feel bad because I like to ogle the other people my age. So I feel like I can give them some pointers and making them ogleable. So it's, you know, it's about life and fun and wanting to get to have a good time again.
And one of the things, you do a Q&A section.
Yes, I do.
With the audience.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, is that always the same, or do you notice a difference when you come to Britain? Do they ask different questions to the Americans?
Well, they're not as interested in who I boned. The Brits are more interested in who inspired me.
Wait a minute. In America, they ask you who you boned.
Oh, my God. Yeah, don't you know? There's a list floating around. You know,
I'm going to sack researchers. I have not seen this list.
I burned it. But it's, you know, because, you know, tabloids. I come from the time before the cameras were out.
Oh, yeah.
So everything was in the tabloids. So if you went out to lunch with somebody, you were having sex with him. You were about to move in. And so people always say, so what was it like when you, like, were with that guy? I was like, which guy? And they say, one that you married. And I say, you know, I've been married 9 times. I don't know which one you're talking about. So that's what it's about, you know. So.
And there was a lovely thing you said where you were thinking about coming back, and you said it was the sort of the spirit of your late mother kind of spoke to you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The last time I was here with you, actually, it had been 8 years since my mom had passed, and she passed while I was doing Sister Act here.
Is that 8 years ago?
Yeah.
But I read a thing that was really sweet. I think you hadn't really like made a bed. You just sort of started making money.
Right.
And your first thing was, Mom, I want to get you a treat.
What's the thing you've always wanted but never thought you'd have? And she said, well, I would like to have an ermine coat and a beaver bowler hat. The beaver bowler must come in a box. It must have the brush, and it has to say it. And I said, okay. I didn't know what a beaver bowler hat was, but somebody told me, and then I got it for her, and she never wore the coat. She only wanted the coat so that she used to lay it on her bed, and all she wanted to do was, on the days when she was feeling out of sorts, she wanted to take it off the bed and drag it down the stairs.
Very sweet.
It was really cool.
Aw. But Harry's, your parents, they weren't musicians at all.
No.
But it sounds like they took you being a musician incredibly seriously from a very young age.
They really did. So my parents had just me and my sister. My sister's 3.5 years older than I am, and she was a linguist and a great student, and now she's in the military, and she's a psychiatrist and an internist, and she's the one, I think, that's accomplished so much that you can really touch, you know. And my career has been a romantic one, like I think all of us have. We're artists and we express ourselves in that way. But music was present in my house, but not because they were musicians. My mother and father owned a record store back in the 1950s, before I was born.
I didn't know.
Yeah, so they would play a lot of the old records, and I heard those records growing up. And I also come from New Orleans, which is a city that's full. Whoopi's an honorary New Orleanian. She is so, if you want to know what New Orleans is like, you're New York, but you're so New Orleans at the same time.
I love New Orleans.
Well, it's a great time. And can you say that again? That was very sexy.
I love New Orleans.
Yeah. So I think we got a thing going on here, man. But we had a lot of music, and my parents were very, very influential in my getting a musical education and my sister getting an academic education.
But you were so young. How old were you when you brought out your first album?
I was 9 years old.
This is Dixieland. What's it called? Dixieland?
I think they call the record Dixieland Plus or something.
Yeah, I've got the actual album. This is the actual album here.
That's it. Yes,
this is
that's it.
Now, so how old are you? 9?
I was 9.
Now,
look at that brown denim suit.
No, but it does look like social services should be called.
Totally, man. I never thought of that as creepy, but that is so creepy.
I didn't want to say it. It's like, what were they thinking?
All these middle-aged dudes. Come here, little boy. Come play some music with us. Yeah. But you know what's amazing is that group of musicians, they're all gone now, actually, but they are some of the great New Orleans musicians. And I mean, as a kid, I didn't think about who they were. I just was playing with them, and it was unbelievable.
Because, Rosamund, I don't think of you as musical. And yet, but both of your parents were were they professional opera singers?
They're professional opera singers.
That's
yes.
amazing.
Yeah, I grew up with that. That was my standard of drama. Life was dramatic.
And did you give it a go,
Young age.
the opera singing?
No, I was told to keep my mouth very shut.
Come on, really?
Yes, the funny thing is, you know, you had a house filled with music, and I had a house of professional musicians, and I think because they did it as a profession, when they listened to music, they listened to it under headphones. So a lot of the time, we didn't have background music because they were of the attitude that if you were listening to music, you were listening to music. You didn't have it on as something in the background.
I remember being in a house, and opera singers were rehearsing in like a normal house, you know, normal rooms.
Yes.
It was so loud, like as loud as you think it's going to be. It was insanely loud.
No, it's a very exciting thing. I mean, an opera singer close up is one of the most exciting sort of human instruments, I suppose, because you see this sound come out of someone and you can't quite see where it's located. Yeah. It's powerful and it's moving.
Well, music is Jamie Dorman's life, really. You love singing, don't you?
Okay.
I mean, you've done very well not to sing so far. No, you do. You sing a lot.
I'm an annoying singer. I'm not like I'm like a singer around the house guy.
Yeah.
Bad. Like my wife hates it. It's bad.
No, but
Can I just say for the record, I didn't understand a word of what you said. Did you get any of that?
I did.
I seriously.
He says he doesn't
but you know what?
sing
You're
around
so
the house.
charismatic and handsome that it totally didn't matter. Like I just kind of went somewhere else. No, but I literally did not get a word.
He says he sings around the house, but his wife doesn't like it.
Oh, got it.
We can't continue the night with every time I talk, Whoopi having to tell you what I said.
Do you understand that? Do you understand that?
Yeah. No, I did get because you slowed it down. There was something. I just kind of got lost in your eyes for a minute.
Come to Belfast, do some shows.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
So, New Orleans, Harry, you mentioned the city. It's 300 years old.
Yeah, this is a big year. 2018 is a really big year for us because we're having our tricentennial. So I've been going all over the world playing music from New Orleans, which is really cool because there's so many different styles of music. There's traditional jazz, modern jazz, R&B, funk, gospel, parade music, brass band music. So we get to play all of that. Those are all styles of music I grew up playing. So it's a lot of fun.
And you played the Palladium this week, and you're in Paris, and what's it now? Back to the States for more shows?
Back to the States, and we played one of the last shows we play is in New Orleans mid-December. So to play that music in New Orleans, you have to make it extra special because they grew up with it.
Yeah.
So it's always an interesting challenge for me playing at home, but it's going to be a big party.
And then there's a thing, so when you were young, you would sing in the voice of Louis Armstrong.
I would. He was and is my biggest hero. Because of his musicianship. Do the BTS fans know who Louis Armstrong is? Yeah! Good. But that makes me very, very happy because...
They're lying. They're just lying to please.
That's all good. I'll take it because Louis Armstrong was one of the top musicians that the United States ever produced, that the world ever produced. But he was such a goodwill ambassador to my town. He was such a hero of mine. And so when I was a little boy, I used to imitate him a lot. And then when my voice started changing, I stopped doing it. But...
So we've got a really short little clip, and it's so weird because it's like you're lip-syncing. Like, it seems so impossible that this is coming out of this little boy's mouth. Here we go.
I went down to St. James Infirmary. I found my baby there.
It's...
Long time ago. You never saw that?
I never saw that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, my God. Not
like
when
you're
you
possessed
know.
by the devil or something.
We also had an exorcist on call.
Very, very good. Now, Rosamund, you are here tonight to tell us about an extraordinary film. It's called A Private War. It's being shown at the London Film Festival on the 20th of October and then opens later in the year. And this is a true story about a journalist, Marie Colvin. And if people have... I mean, because it's quite recent, this
Yes.
story. So tell us about Marie.
Marie Colvin was a reporter for the Sunday Times, a war correspondent. She went all over the world reporting on some of the sort of darkest human tragedies. And one of her main things to commend her was that she often went to places where everybody else was fleeing from, and she went in when her sort of fear threshold or danger threshold was higher or lower, whichever way you have to put a threshold, than others. So, for instance, in East Timor, she and people were evacuating from a UN-protected compound. Everybody was on the last plane out, and she stayed because she realised that if all the journalists and all the humanitarian workers left, then there was nothing to stop the militia overrunning this compound and killing everybody. So her editor was, you know, quite anxious about this because he was like, Marie, why the hell aren't you on that plane? And she said, well, I don't know, but everyone seemed to be leaving, but I'm here and I'm comfortable with that. And he's like, well, what do you mean everyone's leaving? He said, where are all the men? And she's like, I guess they don't make men like they used to.
But
So
she did save thousands of people.
And by staying, yes, I think she really felt that she turned the tide of events, and she did, because hers was the only coverage, and I think she was part of the decision that the UN did not evacuate, and all those people were saved.
And watching the film, because she keeps going back, what do you know, now that you've lived in this woman's mind, I mean, was she a sort of addicted to that fear or that danger, or what was it?
I think it's really complicated.
Yeah.
I think it was a job she was really good at, and she had tremendous capacity for empathy. And I think she really believed that if you're someone with great empathy, you can go to some of these darkest places on Earth, and instead of, you know, what's the norm is that it's very tempting to close your eyes and focus on your cornflakes. But I think she felt that her words could penetrate. And I think it does become a sort of addiction. I also think she was... could be quite a mess on a personal level. You know, life has a clarity when you're in danger. You know, you're dealing with absolutes. You're dealing with life and death, and then
Yes.
you come home to receipts and bills and failed marriages and everything feels less relevant and more complicated. And I should say Jamie's in this film.
Yes,
too,
we
but-
show you. It's a great cast. Stanley Tucci's in it. Jamie Dornan's in it. And we've got a clip. This is you, as Marie Colvin, in hospital, and you're sort of trying to make sense of your...
I was gonna say that
Yes. We should mention the beautiful side of head there was Jamie Dornan.
that's what happens when you get in a therapy session with Jamie. All gets very serious very quickly.
I'm in the movie more than that.
No, you're really good. You've got lines and everything. Yeah. Really good. And talking of getting parts in films, Rosamund, you in Gone Girl, to make sure you got that part, you went to extraordinary ends. Where were you? You were in Scotland.
No, I was in Glasgow, and I'd rented a remote cottage for the film I was doing, which is sort of my wont to get out of the way. But then, of course, I didn't have a very good internet connection, and David Fincher wanted to do multiple Skypes with me. So I had to join the Virgin Active in Glasgow, the gym. And then proceed never to use the gym, but to ask occasionally for a conference room. I don't know what they thought I was up to, but anyway, I did get a very good internet service, thank you, Richard Branson. And it came to the point where David wanted to run through some lines and do some scenes. And there's a scene towards the end of the film where Amy is... you know, really playing it up for the FBI and talking about the abuse she suffered. She didn't suffer any at the hands of Desi. And I used to have to say things like, you know, I was spread-eagled on a bed and I was shaved and raped and, you know, it gets pretty dark, right? Anyway, I'm doing this with the sort of best of my gusto and there's this nervous knock at the door, and this woman poked her. She said, "I'm terribly sorry." She says, "We're actually closing now." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I said, I should say that if you were listening to it." She goes, "No need to explain." And I thought, oh my goodness, she thinks I'm here for therapy.
shut the door.
That's hilarious, man.
Now, here's the thing. Whoopi, I stupidly always thought your Oscar-winning turn in Ghost.
Yes?
I assumed that was written for you.
No.
Because it seemed like such a fit. But was it written? No, it wasn't written for you.
No, it wasn't. It was written for a woman called Teresa Merritt, who was a wonderful actress that the writer really, really liked. And at the time, she just wasn't, she didn't want to do it. And so they kept looking for people, and a friend of mine came for lunch. I said, what are you up to? She said, girl, I was just at this audition. Every black woman and her mother was at this audition. Everybody was raising up out the grave getting to this audition. And I'm thinking, I don't know anything about this audition. And so I called my agent and he went, who told you? And I said, oh, a friend of mine went. He said, well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings, but they don't want to see you. And I said, oh, why? They said, because they feel that at the time I was too famous and people wouldn't be able to understand. They wouldn't realize I was acting. And I would yank them out of the movie as Whoopi Goldberg. I did explain that Marlon Brando seemed to be able to work it out. But they just said, no, no, no. And so I went on and I did another movie. I was working with Sissy Spacek, and I get a phone call from my agent saying, you remember that movie they told you they didn't want you for? I said, yeah. They said, well, they just hired Patrick Swayze, and he wants to read with you. And he told them, if you don't let me read with her, I'm not doing the movie. That's how I got the job, was because of Patrick.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So cool.
Yeah.
And I guess in people's careers, you know, actors, they audition for things. That's one thing. But then you have to do that terrible waiting to hear if you get the part. And, Harry, didn't you have a thing with... you auditioned for a Sandra Bullock
That's right.
movie.
It was a movie called Hope Floats.
I remember Hope Floats,
and it was one of the first movies I did. This was, I don't know, I was maybe in my late 20s, I guess. And I really wanted to do this part. And it was between me and some other guy. And the part that I was playing was a guy from Texas. He was like a real cowboy. And there may not seem like a lot of distinction to y'all between Texas and Louisiana, but where I'm from, there's a big difference. I mean, you think of cowboys, you don't really think of the state that I'm from, even though it's right next door to Texas. Well, Sandra told me the guy that I'm really thinking about is this cowboy from Texas, and the part was a cowboy from Texas. I said, there's no way I'm gonna get it. So it was time to fly back from Texas to Los Angeles. Sandra was being flown back on a private plane that the movie studio was paying for. I was just taking a commercial flight. So she said, if you want to ride back with me, come on and ride back with me. So we get on the plane, and I was trying to be coy and not let her know what I was thinking, but I really wanted to know who this other guy was. So I was sitting on the plane with my back to the pilot, and she was sitting right across from me like you are. And I'm like, so how did that other guy do? He was pretty good, huh? He's like, yeah, he was really good. He's from Texas. He's exactly what we're looking for. I'm like, wow, so, you know, he's probably like got a lot going on, and he's famous. And she starts to untuck her shirt, and I'm thinking, okay, it's not particularly warm in here, but she wants to... So she starts unbuttoning her shirt. And what was really weird was that her father was actually on the flight, too, and I'm like, you know, I mean, this is as freaky as it gets. I mean, your dad is right there, and you're taking your clothes off in front of me on a private plane, like, maybe I don't want to work with you after all. So she starts unbuttoning her shirt, and she starts raising her shirt up. This is Sandra Bullock, remember. And on her stomach was written, you got the part.
Oh.
So sweet. Isn't that nice? Oh. Creepy, right? So sweet.
Yeah.
All the other ways she could have told.
Yeah. How about you got the part?
Yeah, congratulations.
She wouldn't have such a great story.
You're right.
That is
right.
true. But now, Jamie Dornan, in A Private War, you play a photojournalist, a photographer who goes into these things. But then, by a bizarre coincidence, the film you're really here to tell us about tonight, you are also playing a real-life journalist. Yeah. Couldn't be more different. This film's called My Dinner with Hervé. You can see it on Sky Atlantic and Now TV from the 22nd of October. So Sacha Verzesi, the director, is the journalist.
Yeah, I'm playing like a version of him. Basically, he did this interview with Hervé Villechaize, who I don't know if anyone's aware of him, but he was a massive star in the 70s and 80s. He was on the show called Fantasy Island. That was the biggest show in the world.
Tattoo in there.
Yeah.
But also, he was also Tic Tac, wasn't he?
Tic Tac, Knick Knack.
Knick Knack. Tic Tac. I remember him well.
Yeah.
I was a big fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your work as Tic Tac was beautiful. Happily, I wasn't having dinner with Hervé.
Yes. He was Knick Knack and Man with the Golden Gun there, Roger Moore. And he was a massive star, you know, and but he had quite a tragic life. And
but a kind of a... What happens, I mean, so you're a journalist, you go for dinner with Hervé.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, the idea is that he goes over to interview Gore Vidal, who I'm sure most of us are familiar with. And it was a very sort of highbrow, high-caliber person he was meant to be interviewing for what we're not really calling, but it's sort of the Mail on Sunday magazine was what it was for, 1993. And while they were there, they said, look, when you're going to LA, we also want you to do this little side piece, like 500 words, Where Are They Now? Piece on Hervé Villechaize, and he's a bit like, you know, that's a bit embarrassing, below me. You know, he was a bit, by this stage, Hervé hadn't really worked for a decade. He'd been doing this Dunkin' Donuts commercial. His life was sort of spiraling out of control, and he felt it was sort of beneath him, but he did it anyway because he sort of was forced to. And it was honestly life-changing for both of them. Sacha was a month sober, and is still sober to this day, I'm glad to say, and is dealing with all of that. And then in enters this guy who just mixes everything up and challenges him in so many different ways. And I don't want to really ruin the end of it, but both of their lives are massively affected by this one night.
Well, we've got a clip. This is you with the great Peter Dinklage playing Hervé Villechaize. And so this is a clip from My Dinner with Hervé, and this is you having dinner with her. Very good. We must mention another project you've coming up on BBC Two. This is Death and Nightingales, and this is written by Alec Cubitt, who wrote The Fall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they love The Fall. So, is there anything you can tell us about this without spoilers, or...?
I wear a hat and I have a beard.
OK.
No, it's a horse. There's more than one horse.
I'm definitely watching it. Oh, is it a period piece?
It's a period piece, yeah. It's based on a...
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah.
You think?
Well, unless they were living in a folk park.
It's late 19th century, 1885. All tour takes place in one day. It's based on a book by Eugene McCabe of the same name, Death and Nightingales, and Alan Cubitt, who changed my life with The Fall, wrote and directed it. So, I mean, he could ask me to do anything and I would do it. So, but luckily he's a great writer. So I yet again find myself in the middle of this sort of beautiful.
Would you sign his breasts?
When I say anything, I really do mean it.
Because, Whoopi, I read a thing where you know, I'm sure you meet fans, but sometimes you get trapped by fans in bathrooms.
Yes.
But do they follow you in, or do they see you in there?
They see me, and they come in, and they close the door, like I don't know why they're in there. And I will sit somewhere and hear them open the door and come to the stall that's empty next to where I am, and I'll see something come up under.
No.
Yeah, because, you know, I love a casino. So I go to the casinos, and people will come, and especially when they're drunk, it's the best. Because I say, Whoopi, is that true? And I say, no, it isn't. And they say, stop, Whoopi, you know that's you. I said, well, if you knew it was me, why are you asking me? What do you need? They say, can you sign this for me? I say, can you wait till I come out and wash my head? No, I need, you just being nasty now. You know? So I just take it, and I have been known to open the top of the toilet and dip my hand in the water and sprinkle it on and then hand it back.
That's nastier than the other way.
Yes, it is. But I just figure, you know, listen, if you asking me in the bathroom, you should not be surprised by anything that shows up on some toilet paper. You know.
Now, before we meet BTS, I just... It's like they've all been hypnotised. This is their trigger word. Now, how many, on the sofa, how many sleepwalkers do we have? Rosamund, do you sleepwalk?
Sleepwalkers?
Sleepwalk.
I don't believe so, no.
Whoopi?
I don't sleep.
Oh. But you walk, but awake.
I do walk.
Now, but Harry, you do sleepwalk. Because don't you wake up with rappers and things?
This is awful. So Jill came up to me, my wife Jill. We've been together for 28 years, and she came to the side of the bed. She got up before me, and she said, "You didn't happen to eat anything last night, did you?" I said, "No." She goes, "Like a chocolate fudge sickle?" I said, "No." She goes, "Are you sure about that?" I said, "Yes. I don't. Why would I do that? I'm trying to watch what I eat." And she motioned her eyes to my hand, which was on the bed with not only the stick, but I had fallen asleep before finishing it, and there was a pool of melted chocolate around my hand. So Jill and I have a wonderful, transparent relationship.
But talking of sleepwalking, Jamie Dornan.
Hello.
Now, you don't sleep-eat.
Sleep-eat?
You don't sleep-eat.
Probably not, no.
No, but you do sleepwalk.
Listen, that I'm aware of, I've sleepwalked once in my life. I was about 11 or 12. And I woke up.
Come on, Jamie, come on.
I woke up. I've told some shockers on this show before. I woke up and my dad was at the end of my bed. And he said, "Morning, Jamie." I said, "Hi, Dad. Morning." He said, "You have anything to tell me?" I said, "Not really. Slept well." He said, "Do you think you sleepwalked last night?" I said, "Not usually do that sort of thing." He said, "Well, someone's done a poo in the bath." As it turns out, by sort of process of elimination, with my sister's working his way down the hole, and there's, it was me.
A beautiful story, beautifully told.
I can only come back when he's here.
Yeah.
It's just too much fun.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the UK television exclusive. These guys are quite simply the biggest boy band in the world. And they're here tonight to perform their smash hit, Idol. Please welcome, for the very first time, BTS! BTS, everybody! Wowza! Come on over, boys. Come on over. Come on over, you. You're very welcome. Grab a seat there. You're very welcome. Hello. Hi, you're very welcome. Nice to see you. Hi, nice to see you. Really nice to see you. Come in, have a seat, Bill. It's BTS, everybody. Oh. Woohoo! So it's you sub up, so it's 3 and 3. Got it. 3, 3, 3, 3. Okay, very good. Can we all fit on there? Yes. Oh yeah, we got shove down a little bit. There we go. Okay, yes. Yes, okay, now. So, why don't you all introduce yourselves? So, who have we got here?
Hello, we are
BTS!
Very good. Yeah, from
Hi, guys. I'm your Hall. You're my Hall. I'm J Hall.
Hi, UK. It's a bloody beautiful night.
I'm Aaron. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Very good.
My name is Jungkook. Nice to meet you guys.
And then in economy?
Me?
Yep.
Where is camera? Hello, my name is Jin. I'm worldwide handsome. You know?
Worldwide handsome.
Yeah, worldwide handsome.
Who else have we got?
I'm Sugar. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi, Sugar.
Hi guys. My name is Pete.
That's V.
Yeah, that's Pete.
I love
Okay, so I see 6 members, but there's supposed to be 7. What happened?
There's a Jimin member called Jimin.
Jimin, yes,
His
of course.
muscle got seized up before the rehearsal, so yeah, he's on that one. He's all right. So, I know, but you can't beat Jimin today, so. Okay, he's got angry. I'm scared.
No, Jimin!
Does that mean, can I ask, does that mean you're looking for a new member?
Go on. Yeah.
Come on, Jimin. Sorry, we don't need you today.
And who's hurt their foot then? Who was that? Jungkook. Jungkook. So what happened to your foot?
Stitches in my hair.
Stitches.
Yeah.
That's it.
Happens, you know.
So many people would like to kiss it better. Now, we should say that song, Idol, that is on the album Love Yourself, Answer, which is out now.
Yes, sir.
I'm guessing they've already got it, but yeah, haven't you good? So I suppose the headlines. So the headlines are, so BTS stands for...
BTS stands for...
I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah. BTS is Beyond the Scene in English. Leopard Boy Scout in Korean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what that is.
Yeah.
I'm no wiser.
But many people consider it like, as the behind the scene, but which is not.
Okay, no, you're right here. I mean, isn't it an extraordinary thing, you know, because there, you know, I don't mean any disrespect, but there are people of a certain age who don't know BTS. So just in case you are thinking I'm making this up, this is the new cover of Time magazine. Like that. Have you been on Time magazine?
I've been in Time magazine.
Yeah. Anyone know the cover? No?
No.
I mentioned.
So, and you also, you had the honor of speaking at the United Nations.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And was that was kind of part of BTS's message?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to say that, you know, life always had the dilemmas of, you know, we always have to have the pain inside, because when the light comes, we always have the shadows, and we cannot be avoided from that. So I just want to tell that we should find the way to love ourselves of our own. Then, of course, especially the youth, gonna be more happy, and we could live a good life. So that was the message.
Yeah. People are really responding to that message.
I'm giving them my shirt.
Okay. There we go. It's on this shirt. There we go. Lovely. There we go. Things I didn't think I'd be doing today. Undressing Whoopi Goldberg.
It's like Sandra Bullock all over.
And I'm giving you this to say thank you for all of the all of the joy you're bringing. This.
Wow.
This is my design. Okay. And if you look closely, it's all about movement and people. It's for you. Thank you.
Oh, that's lovely. A gorgeous moment. BTS, everybody. Have a seat. Have a seat. Sit down. Sit down. Whoopi, that's so nice of you. Thank you so much. Whoopi, BTS, we can't follow that, so let's say no time for red chairs tonight. So please thank all of my guests. BTS! Here they are! That is BTS. Jamie Dornan! Rosamund Pike! Harry Connick Jr. And Whoopi Goldberg! She gave us her shirt, the shirt off her back. Join me next week with musical act Christine and the Queens, actor Rami Malek, Oscar winner Sally Field, Hollywood heartthrob Chris Pine, and the legendary Sir Michael Caine. I'll see you then. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.